Good evening. I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, April 17th to order. I'm going to ask Ascension Parish School Board member, Mr. Harold Jarrow, if he would lead us on the invocation.
Stand. Lord, we thank you for bringing us together here this evening. Thank you for this council, for the past president of our administration. We pray that they will make the decisions today throughout their careers and move for the betterment of our citizens and the community of Ascension Parish. We have to continue to watch over and protect us, give us your guidance and direction. We ask this in your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For our roll call, Ms. Suzanne, please notate that Council Committee member Ken Shake-Snyder, George Valentine, and Todd Lambert are not present. There are no chair's additions. Public comment period. If anyone would like to speak, please approach the podium and fill out a comment card. Moving on, Lamar Dixon report, Mr. Eddie Crawford.
Good evening, Council. You should have our February 2008 report before you. I'll move along. Page 1, you'll see the highlighted number down there again. Halfway down the page is our operating loss. Do you need one? Do you have a spare? That's our the operating loss number. Moving down to the second highlighted number, that's our cash that's still on hand, and the fund balance is $305,593. Page 2, those highlighted numbers, this is for the month of February. You can see we had an actual income of $68,140, but we had budgeted $105,919. So we ended up a little short on the month with $37,779 variance. That was basically, we had a bar exam event that did not occur, and we also had a Mardi Gras ball that didn't occur as well, and the other events just did not perform as well as we had hoped. Page 3, again, the highlighted numbers there are our other operating income. The non-event RVs are the strong points in that category. Still performing, $18,000 better than we had budgeted. We've talked before in the past. This looks like this part of our operation could hold on for another 2 years with current construction in the area. Page 4 is our year-to-date numbers. You can see the year actual is $36,073. We had budgeted $33,909 for a $2,000 variance. So for the year, we're still doing pretty well. Moving to page 5, the first 3 columns are the month of February. The other ones are our year-to-dates. The highlighted numbers down there towards the end of the page are just recapping what the information we've already looked at. The bottom line is the combined spendings from both our operations and the parish. I think the important thing right there is your rent for February was down considerably from what was budgeted. Page 6 is our balance sheet. Page 7, again, is our accounts receivables. Excuse me. We talked last month. Most of these events down here past 90 days will probably clear out in March. So we don't see any issues there. We included some information from the last meeting. Some questions were asked. This you should have a graph that shows the booking percentages for 06 versus 07. There are some that are actually up considerably. Some areas still need a little improvement. This graph includes the event days and the move-in and move-out days, but not conversion days. That's the days that we spend setting up and doing the configurations for those events. So that'll give you a little historical information. The next graph is just a total event income, 06 versus 07. We're kind of thinking 07 is going to be probably more of a typical year for us out there. 05, if you recall, after the hurricane, we were in staging and recovery operations most of that 6 months period. '06 was definitely impacted by the hurricane. We had several events canceled. But '07, I think, will probably be a typical year, what a typical year could look like out there. The next page is total advertising spending that we did in '07. We've, again, some of the magazines, the trade magazines that we've been in, we did a billboard last year to try to improve and pick up that RV operation. But that'll give you some historical information there. It's certainly very expensive to advertise that way. We mostly, when we're going after promoters, we'll use our database, phone calls, letters, things like that. Again, the second page, the marketing, Lamar Dixon. That's just some of the things we've done. We were, as you see, the cover of the yellow pages. We were proud of that. Again, some other advertising that we're doing. This, Mr. Lambert, I think you had asked about that RV, the Family Motor Coach Association's RV. Their impact from their, excuse me, their Beaumont rally is included from '06. So there's some information there to show you about that impact. It was, they're estimated to be about $1 million to $2 million economic impact over, I think, a 7-day period, 3-day weekend, sorry. So that's an event we're going for in 2010. They'll be down for another site visit in December. Also included some economic impact from our Jacksonville facility. This is their CVB has been tracking theirs event by event. Again, this is just some extra information for you to look at. And then finally, the last page is the events that we have coming over the next, I believe, to finish up April and into May. Do you have any questions?
Any discussion? Any questions?
Question.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Eddie, past weekend you had the St. Jude. How did that?
It did real well. It was the first year out there. I believe we had 200 boats, teams enter into that. It was about a 4-hour event. We did very well in concessions. Looking forward to coming back next year. That's our third bass tournament that we've done out there in the last 7 months. So that was the biggest so far. It was in the 4-H building. Did very well.
Thank you for that.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Croft.
Thank you.
Next up, our financial report, Ms. Gwen LeBlanc.
Good evening, Chairman Lower and members of the Finance Committee. I'll be very brief, so to yield to Chairman Lower's presentation. You have your regular sales and use tax report in front of you. And this is based on the sales in February collected and due to the Sales Tax Authority in March. So we're reporting on the first quarter of the year. And you can see the East Ascension half-cent drainage tax year-to-date was up 16.64%, and our 1-cent sales tax, that's our undedicated sales tax, year-to-date for the first quarter was up 12%. And then the half-cent sales tax, which is 1/3 for fire protection services and dedicated, also 2/3 to road construction. Year-to-date, they were that fund was up. The collections were up 13%. And the rest of the charts we've been over before. Just the second chart, this is showing you the uses of the 1-cent sales tax and what it's budgeted for, and all the transfers out to the general fund, road and bridge maintenance fund, the recreation departments, Lamar Dixon fund, the debt service for the jail expansion, Public Works building on the west side, and FINS program, which is a 23rd Judicial District fund, families in need of services. And so we're showing you basically that we're collecting $16.3 million budgeted for 2008 and spending $15.2. So we're going to try to make up that $1.5 million deficit this year. And the rest of the charts are things we've been over before. And like I said, I know Chairman Lower has spent a lot of time on this presentation, so I would just like to yield the rest of the time to him. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. LeBlanc. You'll recall at the council meeting before last, we had our audit firm of Falk & Winkler deliver a report to us, and there was a lot of discussion that arose from that. And one of the items we had tasked ourselves for this committee was to look at possibly restructure and refocusing the purpose of this committee and how we operate. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and start the presentation. Technical difficulties. Yeah. There we go. Great. Okay. Great. Apologize for that, everybody. So first off, why are we doing this? Why do we feel this might be necessary? First, I think, as we talked about last time, the council is not always aware of the big picture because a lot of times we're reviewing on these items that come before us in isolation. Secondly, as that audit report stated, our growth has far outpaced, our demands are far outpacing our supply and the services we can provide to people because of that growth. And our funding is much more limited, and it's limited our financial flexibility. So we need to make sure we're budgeting, we're spending our parish taxpayers' dollars as wisely as possible. And also, there's been discussion of possibly asking the voters for additional funding, for a lot of these major service areas, and the service needs, be it via millage or sales tax or et cetera. So we have to be sure that appropriate controls are in place on the spending side before we even consider that. So stepping back and considering what the purpose of the Finance Committee should be. We had a work group, as I mentioned, we put together. Councilman Joseph was on there for a couple meetings. Also, we had Gwen LeBlanc and Tommy Lejeune, our audit firm of Falk-Winkler. So a good cross-section of interested parties and how we can make this better. And this presentation is basically a summation of our findings and recommendations. So what is the purpose of the Finance Committee? First, I think it should be to ensure the Council is fully aware of the financial impact of all the decisions that are under its consideration. Secondly, to determine our financing strategies and help prioritize those big-ticket, long-term items. Those, again, what are the real service needs we need to provide to the people, and how are we going to pay for it? And finally, I think the third purpose is to better educate the public about parish financial situation in general. So recommended actions. First would be, and we'll go through each of these, possibly restructure and refocus the committee process. Secondly, focus on the master financing plan for those major issues confronting the parish. And thirdly, to educate the public. And this is how our current committee workflow operates. Items come before specific committees: transportation, utilities, recreation. For example, they are approved in concept, but also financially, and they go to the council. And then we also have some items come from the Finance Committee to the council. What I'm recommending is basically this kind of workflow. That we have those specific committees I just mentioned approve items on the agenda based on their concept and on their merits. Then it comes to the Finance Committee for fiscal analysis, and if it's approved, then it goes to Council for final adoption. So again, those committees I mentioned, transportation, recreation, utilities, strategic planning, they approve those agenda items based on their merits. Then they come to the finance committee, and a financial and also any besides those committees, any outside entities that oftentimes come before the council, direct appeals to the council, or not coming from within our department heads within the administration, those should also be referred back to the finance committee. And those items are placed on the agenda of the finance committee, and the financial impact of those items are analyzed for each item at hand, and then approvals go to the council. All that being said, the key question there is, how do we actually evaluate that item's financial impact? And that's where a budget impact analysis comes in. You have in front of you a policy and a form entitled the Budget Impact Analysis Form, and that basically I'm asking that we recommend we adopt this policy and this procedure going forward, pending our discussion around this tonight. But what that Budget Impact Analysis Form is it outlines for each request, why is it needed, how much, what budget fund is it coming out of, how is that fund performing on the year, actual to budget, how is it trending, what's our forecast up or down going to be. And these are filled out by the department heads for an internal request. If it's an external request, filled out by the CFO. And all of these items, all of these budget impact analysis forms and these items are performed by our CFO and finance department, and is attached to each finance committee agenda item. So why do we need to do that? Before we go back a step here, why do we need to do that? Again, a lot of times people, I think, come to these committees and come to the council with legitimate requests, but we're not necessarily understanding the big picture of how it's all impacting the budget. And this is again to try to get some kind of focus around a sound fiscal policy and make sure we all understand how the money's flowing. Other immediate recommendations we thought we could do right away: enhancing our monthly financial report. Having it detailed by fund. In the past, a lot of it's just been around sales tax, how our sales tax is doing, and how that is compared to last year. Well, that's great, but also our expenses and our could be going up as well, and the needs that we need to provide to the people in terms of services, that's continuing to increase. We need to see both picture. Every month we should see total revenues versus total expenses. What are the total inflows for the month, total outflows. For the major funds that we have, how are they performing, for the month, actual to budget, and are they up or down in forecasting for the year? In general, kind of, if you've been involved with business or have your own business, it's kind of like more a business-minded approach of, reviewing your monthly financial statements. So what are some potential hurdles to all of this? First would be administration buy-in, making sure the department heads and finance adopts this process, is comfortable with this, and actually we hold them accountable. By the same token, we have to hold ourselves accountable as a council, and our committee chairmen have to be on board with this and making sure items are not added to the agenda without really going through this process. So that's kind of the immediate, hopefully short-term things we can do. This is more of a mid-long-term, I think, but this is the second point of the purpose of the Finance Committee should be to define our strategy in terms of creating a financial master plan to meet our core service needs. So what exactly are our core service needs? Those are the major initiatives under recreation, utilities, transportation, and strategic planning. Some examples, that we've been discussing. Lamar Dixon. What are we going to do about that? How are we going to fund it? Sewer system, that's been a large topic recently. A master road plan, our major multi-million-dollar road projects that we have around the parish. How are we going to fund those? So what's our strategy to meet those service needs? How do we determine? We need to determine our actual cost of those initiatives, identify them, determine the costs, and then prioritize across all those different areas based on the need and the feasibility of doing these. And from that, we can create a financial master plan where we identify the funding sources and the overall budget impact over multiple years for these initiatives. I don't know that we've really done that as a council administration in the past in terms of the budget. It's been more of a year-to-year basis versus the big items, this is how we're going to budget for them over the successive years. And the third piece of this is public education and communication. First telling people how the picture is right now. How are we spending their tax dollars? And then secondly, we have the strategic initiatives plan and the financial master plan to pay for those. How would that change the picture? How does that change? What does that mean to how their tax dollars are being spent? So our next steps that I'd like to see us act on here, reporting changes. I think we can do that immediately. Ms. LeBlanc and Parish President Tommy Martinez, I think, are amenable to implementing these reporting changes for us, which would be very helpful. And we can, tweak those as we go to meet our needs. Secondly, the committee restructure process and the budget impact analysis policy adoption that goes along with that. I'd like to, after our discussion on all this tonight, we can see how that goes. We can implement it immediately if we're comfortable with that. If we're not, we can put it off. But I'd like to definitely get that going as fast as we can, or something, close to that. And then finally, our core service needs and our financial master plan to how to meet those. I think that's by mid-long term. I'd like to see that in the next, a couple months, certainly not a couple of years. So in conclusion, I think we need these process changes to have a more sound fiscal policy, as I said. I think it will increase communication and cooperation with administration, provide more transparency both to us and to the public in terms of the financial process. And this is the big point. It allows us to plan ahead and be in a proactive mode instead of continuing in a reactive mode. I think over the years, parish government has struggled in terms of its planning and not looking at the big picture, and we're having to pay the price for that. But we're all, I think, on board with stepping up and addressing some of these items, these big ticket major issues that perhaps we've put off in the past because it was uncomfortable to deal with. But it's time to deal with it. It's time to put it on pen to pad and decide what we want to do and how we want to pay for it. So again, this isn't going to be a quick fix. Some of it can be, but some of it, it's a living document. Is my point. We can tweak it as we go, but I really feel these would be changes that are needed and a big step in the right direction. With that, I'll head back up there and we can discuss. Open the floor for discussion. Mr. Adrian Thompson.
Yes, I would like to commend you, Councilman Lure, putting together this plan. It's much needed, and I think it's the right direction for us to head in.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else?
I, too, would like to commend you, Councilman Lure. Very nice.
Well,
I would also like to offer it up as a motion that we adopt this policy.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Bell to adopt the budget impact analysis policy and procedure around committee process as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And second by Oliver Joseph. Oh, I'm sorry, Adrian Thompson. Apologize. Any objection? Motion passes. I believe Parish President had some discussion around this as well.
Well, I think it's a step in the right direction. I just want to commend Chris and all those that worked on this, Oliver and Miss Gwen and Tommy Lejeune. Something that's sorely needed here in parish government. We can't just go from year to year. Mr. Turney and I had some discussion yesterday. We looked at the major road projects, and at the end of the day, the numbers that I looked at were quite different than the budget that was actually there. So, again, we had no program management. We didn't have any long-range type goals. We didn't have a projected how we were going to spend our money on roads for the next 3 to 5 years. We both agreed that that's not a good way to do business. We talked about it. To Bob's credit, he's put together, we got some actual numbers. When we were just looking at it, we were like $5.3 million, had a $5.3 million shortfall, which meant we were anticipating a $5 million surplus, but in all actuality, when all the dust settled, we actually went from a 5.3 to I think it was around 2.9, and we're actually going to probably have a little surplus of about a $2.1 million program next year. But we would, if we had not started looking into this and started looking at the budget and looking at what these major projects were costing, we would all been sitting here thinking next year we'd have had maybe $5 million to do a road project. That's not actually going to be true. We still may have some cost overruns, but that's going to take me to another step in coming with an independent selection committee. I just really think I'm going to show you some things that's not going to be pretty. At some point here, we're going to be putting together a program and a PowerPoint similar to this. In a lot of instances, we've re-engineered roads 4 times, redesigned them, cost us tons of money, actually spent more money on engineers than roads. So, you know, it's a time in this parish, we're at the crossroads, as we heard from Mr. Falk, that we need to start doing in our business and making sure that we're doing it the right way. And we need to start projecting. We can't live from year to year. We need to project budgets from 3 to 5 years, and if we can, hopefully for 10 years. And that way we'll be able to put together those programs. So I commend you. I think this is something that this council is going to embrace, and its administration is going to embrace. And again, my hat's off to you. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate those comments, Mr. Parish President, and I too. I mean, I appreciate Councilman Thompson and Councilman Bell's comments as well. But this is far from just me. This work group, like Gwen LeBlanc, I really need to commend her and Tommy Lejeune, like you said, and Councilman Joseph for assisting as well. I mean, and yourself. You know, I know you had a lot of ideas around this too, and it really, I mean, like you said, I think this is a step in the right direction. This is what we've needed to do, I think, for a long time, and I appreciate everybody adopting it and moving forward. Any further discussion? Councilman Joseph.
Chris, once again, it's all about accountability. And if we don't make sure that we are accountable for the taxpayer dollars, we're going to end up with a lot of trouble in the future. And as the parish president knows right now, we're not looking that good. I mean, we're all right, but we're not looking that good down the road. So this program here that you have put together with the administration and everything is going to make us look better as accountability of where those tax dollars are going. So when we have to ask for a millage or a tax, the public will know where their dollars are going, their tax dollars are going.
Absolutely.
So thank you. That's all.
And to second that, you know, some more discussion around that is, you know, besides you know, educating them about where it's going, also they need to be comfortable with the fact that we have, you know, some controls in place on our spending, and we are in fact making the wisest financial decision on every item, you know, that comes before us, and looking at the big picture. Councilman Johnson.
Yes, sir. Echo everybody else's comments as far as congratulations on this. It's a very good package. And we're talking about not only within ourselves, but also the other groups that are out there that are responsible for presenting budgets to us, 1, 3, 5-year plans of those being put together, and maybe extending the budget process out and getting those folks in a little bit earlier, and making them, and as well as ourselves with them, prioritize things on a parish-wide basis to where we can look at them from that point of view and fit it within the budget and the dollars that we do have. Would actually, I think, help us get us a little bit bang for the buck, because like everyone's talking, we need to be more accountable to the citizens here as far as what services we are providing and what we can provide to them, and make sure that we are providing the best as well as getting the most bang for our buck out of the dollars that we do have.
Good point. Councilman Thompson.
The motion is to go to the full council, right?
Yes.
It has to go to the full council. Yes. Next meeting?
At the next meeting in Donaldsonville.
In Donaldsonville.
Yes. And then we would adopt that policy, assuming that's adopted at the council meeting for the next month's committee meetings. And then those agendas. So the next finance committee agenda is going to be pretty large, and probably will be going forward. So just be prepared, everybody. And we can tweak. We can. No. I mean, in terms of all the agenda items that are going to be on there, and the budget impact analysis that's going to go along with each of those. So.
Won't take long to go through each item.
Yes, but that's what we need to do, and so. To that point, next meeting will be May 15th at 5:30, and Gonzalez here to give us a little more extra time. So, anybody have any?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph to adjourn. Second by Councilman Randy Cluett. Meeting's adjourned.